Introduction. You are reading this book because perhaps you have at least a passing interest in the prophets of the Old Testament. Maybe you have more than once gotten lost in Isaiah's seemingly endless chapters of complaints about the misbehaviors of God's people and their neighbors. I believe the information you find here will help you see that Isaiah's complaints were based on real situations that confronted God's people. Fortunately, archaeology and secular history, as well as the Bible, have brought political and cultural events to light in such a way that we now know Isaiah could have been writing the newspaper headlines and lead stories of his day. Of course, there are aspects of Isaiah's book that no historical evidence reveals. In those cases, in order to flesh out the story, you will find fictionalizations of how it might have happened. For instance, Isaiah was born and grew up during the reign of King Uzziah. But the Bible doesn't tell us anything about that until Isaiah sees God in the year that Uzziah died. My very literary and creative granddaughter, Jessica Dill, has helped me enormously with captivating creations that fill in those gaps. Many times, these are mixed in with Bible information about the various kings in the Old Testament books of 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles. You can know for sure what is invented and what is true from the Bible if you read the section on each of the kings as they are introduced in the narrative. Be sure to notice that 2 Kings tells about the kings of both Israel and Judah, while 2 Chronicles has only the stories about the kings of Judah. Please remember that the purpose of these fictionalizations is always to help you grasp that Isaiah was a real person, as real as you are, with problems and perplexities in his life, just as you have in your life. God was always guiding him as he wants to guide you. And because Isaiah was faithful to the task that God gave him, he has provided lots of wonderful encouragement and inspiration for each of us in his writings. That is why his book is often called the Fifth Gospel. It contains so much about the life of Jesus, although in prophetic form, that it fits well with the New Testament books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in showing us who Jesus was, why he came to this earth, and how he represented his Father. Back when I was a preteen, I would feel compelled to read the Bible through every year. I'm not sure who put that pressure on me, whether it was my parents, teachers, or the pastor. Maybe nobody did. But I loved above all things to read, so I would try. By Leviticus, I was losing steam and would finally give up on that book. Now that Dr. Roy Gain has written some good books on Leviticus, you don't have to experience the same failure I did. I liked history, and I especially liked Proverbs for some reason. And so, as the weeks went by, I would continue through the Old Testament. But then I would come to Isaiah and become downright depressed. Jeremiah and Ezekiel were much the same. Daniel, at least the first half of the book, was great. And then there were all those other little books. I don't remember whether I ever actually finished reading the Bible straight through or not. As time went by, though, I came to love Bible study more and more, and I looked for ways that the books of the Bible could help me figure out my problems. When I was the Children's Ministries Director at the General Conference from 1989 to 2003, I led many seminars with activities that helped make sense of the Bible. No one learned more than I did. For example, you can gain lots of insights by paying attention to the generations of people that lived before the flood. When you figure out who could have been Ezra's friends, you begin to see how many of the minor prophets, as well as other famous Bible people, overlapped in time and probably or definitely knew each other. Maybe you have already participated in some of the activities as found in Making the Bible a Delight, that I wrote with my friend Sally Dillon. Finally, I came to the place where I was ready to tackle Isaiah. To my surprise, when I checked his chapters with Bible commentaries, there in black and white were the reasons why he wrote what he did. I was so inspired by what I found that I definitely wanted to share that knowledge. After a couple of years of research and note-taking, it was time to create the manuscript. In order to have time to write, I came to Thailand, where I finished this manuscript. I hope you can soon read it and be as inspired by Isaiah as I and countless others have been. After you read this book, please send a letter or an email to the publishing house to let me know if this book was helpful. Did it make you want to read the Bible more? Did it make Isaiah seem more real to you than before? Would you like a similar book that focuses on the life of Jeremiah, Ezekiel, or Daniel? Virginia L. Smith, Asia Pacific International University, Muak Lek, Thailand, January to March 2020.